Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It might be your favorite, and it might not be. But regardless of how you feel about it, it's a game, and therefore it has glitches. Like, did you know that Kirby can slam you against thin air? This is a glitch that involves Kirby and Rob. The two head over to Temple and drop down to the very bottom platform, have Kirby hug the left side, and have Rob get right next to him. If Kirby grabs Rob and performs an up throw, the two will just barely miss the platform and actually seemingly plummet to their deaths before Kirby finishes the move anyway on thin air. Now this likely has to do with Kirby clipping inside of the stage above where they're standing and getting nudged just far enough to the left to miss and fall off the stage. This glitch can actually be executed on a different stage with any character. This time we're going to go over to Frigate or Fiend. The setup is exactly the same, except it's going to be on these moving platforms, and the exact same thing will happen. This one is easier to explain, as the platforms just move so Kirby has nowhere to land, and so he instead explodes the enemy in the air. So clearly Kirby's up throw is coded to actually do the explodey bit after a certain point, regardless of if there's ground or not, probably so that they both don't die. There's another pretty funny glitch that happens with Ike and the Ice Climbers. No, not the Ike Climbers. For this one, Ike first needs to get his final smash. Then he needs to kill the lead Ice Climber and perform his final smash on the other Ice Climber. If everything works according to plan, Ike will begin the final smash, but the follower climber that was caught in the final smash will disappear and respawn with the leader, leaving Ike to perform his final smash up in the air with nobody in the attack. Seems like Ike took playing Smash single player a little too literally. One of the more popular glitches that happens in Super Smash Bros. One of the more popular glitches that happens in Super Smash Bros. Brawl happens when characters interact with terrain as it's regenerating. So stages like Spear Pillar, Green Hill Zone, and Pirate Ship all have this unique quality. But perhaps the easiest stage to perform all of this on is Bridge of Eldin. The middle of the bridge collapses during a match, and then the chunks return to their proper place and the bridge is repaired. And it's during that bridge regeneration section that we're going to have some fun. So first let's play as Jigglypuff, turn on Smash Balls, and head over to that stage. You want Jigglypuff to get her final smash and wait to activate it until the sort of Twilight portal thing is repairing the bridge. You want to jump down there and activate her final smash. She'll grow and grow and grow, and then suddenly the move will stop. Now Jigglypuff is gigantic, and her hitboxes and animations all match her gigantic size, which means it's really easy to die as this gigantic Jigglypuff. Funny enough, things like her run speed or her jumping ability don't actually scale, so she ends up just running really slowly, but everything else kind of stays in proportion with how giant she is. The second character we can have glitch out with this bridge is Rob. Again, with the final smash, Rob can jump into the bridge area as it's forming and activate his final smash, and then get forced out of the bridge area again. And voila! We have an unlimited Rob final smash. Like, seriously, this thing will never run out. So essentially what's happening here is the move is activating, but the stage's boundaries are being changed at the same time, and it doesn't want to allow you to be in that area anymore. Under normal circumstances, it would simply bump you up back to the correct part of the stage, and it does actually do that in this case as well. But because we're in the middle of a final smash, the game doesn't really know what to do with that. So while it cancels the actual final smash event, it doesn't necessarily cancel all of the effects. So in both of these cases, the beginning of the final smash event is activated, but the ending isn't. Taking inspiration from that Jigglypuff glitch, our next one takes us into Giant Mode, where we have to pick Captain Falcon against any other character. We load into Summit with Final Smashes on, have Captain Falcon get the Final Smash, and have him activate the Final Smash while sliding on the ice at the bottom. If done correctly, Captain Falcon will die before the Final Smash completes, and our opponent will be completely safe. What's more, when Captain Falcon spawns back in, the blue Falcon is now permanently on the screen, linked to Captain Falcon's movement, either up close and personal in your face or in the background, depending on which way Captain Falcon is facing. Because Captain Falcon died during the final smash, the game doesn't realize that the move is over, kinda like with the Bridge of Eldin stuff that we just talked about. So the blue Falcon still hangs out on the screen, thinking the final smash is still going on, as the game hasn't indicated that the blue Falcon should disappear once more. Nothing else really happens here with this glitch, but at the very least it's annoying to whoever you're playing with in the weird scenario that you're playing under these very specific circumstances. Another weird glitch happens with only 4 characters in the entire game. Peach, Mr. Game & Watch, Sonic, and Jigglypuff. The easiest way to perform this glitch is to boot up the sample custom stage Sample M Bath. Technically, this can also be done on Mushroomy Kingdom 1-2, but because that's a side-scrolling stage, it just makes doing this glitch inconvenient. It can also be done on any other custom stage with specific requirements, but since there's a preset stage with the requirements all done for us, this is just the easiest. So after we've loaded into the stage, we need to head over to the fall block and let it fall. Then we need to nudge ourselves up into this little corner, perform Peach's up special, and then full tilt hold right on our control stick. If all goes well, we will just end up hugging this wall for pretty much all eternity, or at least until our thumb gets tired. The other characters I mentioned can all do this as well. Mr. Game & Watch also uses his up special and will stay there gripping the wall pretty much as long as you hold the control stick towards the wall. Sonic is a bit weirder as he'll hug the wall but only while his spin dash move is being charged. Once the charge stops, he'll stop gripping onto the wall and he'll just fall to his demise. Jigglypuff is probably the funniest though because she actually doesn't need to do anything. Just jump towards the block and hold right and she'll hang out there floating forever. Maybe she just really likes that wall. The explanation for this has to do with the tiny platform just below the square brick. It technically extends just a hair further than the block above it, so your character is trying to land on it. But because the block is there, you can't actually end your move and walk on the platform, so the game just keeps you in this infinite loop of hanging on the edge just barely, but unable to do anything else. Really, you can do this on any block that's set up in this way on this stage, you just need to be hugging the wall. Next up, we have what is called the Mario Kart glitch, which involves neither Mario nor karts in any way. This glitch can be done on a bunch of stages, with one being Mario Circuit, so I'm guessing that's probably where this glitch was discovered. But the setup for this is pretty specific. We need to load up a special brawl and make it a high gravity mega brawl in stamina mode. One character needs to be Kirby, and the other characters need to have a fall speed of at least 1.45 units. So these 14 characters. Once we're in the actual battle, the characters that aren't Kirby need to have a maximum of 5 HP left. Then Kirby has to use Inhale on them and then spit them out using the A button. After all of this crazy setup, the character that was inhaled will hilariously fall through whatever platform Kirby is standing on, even if you can't go through that platform. So clearly this glitch comes as a result of the very specific circumstances that the battle is under in the first place. When Kirby spits the enemy out and they enter their death animation, their size and speed make their model clip outside the boundaries of the floor. And because the insides of stages don't have collision data since you aren't expected to get there in the first place, the character just falls right through. And the funniest part of this glitch is that it happens on stages where falling to your death is normally impossible, like Shadow Moses Island or Mario Brothers. Stages where you have to die off the sides or the top, but the bottom is normally fully safe, which is just hilarious. Here's a pretty funny glitch that doesn't actually happen in a match. Head over to Special Brawl, select a 300% damage match, and make it a one-stock battle. Make the match Team Brawl with one character on the green team, one character on the blue team, and the remaining two on the red team. Once you're in the match, group up both red team members and one of the other characters. The remaining character needs to kill them all with a very strong move off of one of the side blast zones. If done correctly, when the game is over and it heads over to the results screen, two of the characters should be clipping into each other, which in our case shows Luigi seemingly wearing Peach's dress. Now this isn't specific to the characters I used in this footage. In fact, you can do it with a variety of different characters with a variety of different results, but Peach and Luigi is not only the funniest, but it's also just the most well known. Live your truth, Luigi. Our final glitch involves the King Koopa himself. Set up a stamina match with Bowser as one player and anyone else as the other. Make sure Smash Balls are on and load into the match. Get Bowser to as low health as possible and have him collect the Smash Ball and activate his final smash. The other player then needs to attack Giga Bowser, bringing him down to 0 HP. But instead of dying, Bowser will simply revert to his usual form, but stay alive in the match at 0 HP, thus making him undead. Ooh. Okay, he's not truly undead, because if he gets hit by any move whatsoever, he will then properly die, so I guess he just more has a second lease on life than anything else. This can also be done with Wario Man, but because he's invincible during this transformation, he needs to deal self-damage, with the easiest methods either being going off screen and taking damage from the bubble, or eating an explosive item. There needs to be a third player in the match, because if you do this with just two players, the game will still end with Wario losing. Wario Man will lay there for a while, and once his final smash wears out, he'll revert back to a properly living Wario who can continue to fight again, until he's hit by a move. Strangely though, he doesn't even have 0 HP at the bottom like Bowser, he just has nothing, which is kinda weird. So maybe he really is undead. And that, guys, is gonna do it for this video. Lots of weird glitches going on here, especially with final smashes, and the more complex Smash gets, the more complicated the glitches get, it seems. I would love to know what your favorite glitch from this video was, and if there's one I didn't cover, please let me know about it down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like, and please be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time for more Super Smash Bros. Glitches.